Here we are. We're recording again.
Yes. Brett's shitty recording software.
Well, not so
Not
so much shitty as so much my absolute incompetence with it.
It was overloaded by Brett leaving it on the standard settings, which are actually really high quality, and ate up too much CPU and shit, and by trying to do it while we were streaming at the same time. We have learned from this mistake. I think from now on we're either just going to stream or record a podcast episode.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It might be worth doing, unless we're doing a special episode related to politics. It might, like the state of NZ politics pre-election thing that we're going to do at some point.
Yeah.
It might be worth keeping this podcast mostly hobby-related and the streams mostly political-related, other than sort of special.
That's not a bad idea.
Because these streams will be saved on YouTube anyway. But yeah, so because of that, we've only got the first 20 minutes of it, and it cuts out
when we talk about the last episode
right as I'm talking about the last episode of Death Note. So we're not going to go through, because taking off where we were exactly. So we're not going to go through everything we said that was cut off or anything. We've uploaded that first 20 episodes as the first.
You guys can find it. You guys can find it. It's still there. But just as a quick recap, Sam and I both like Death Note. I like it a little more than Sam. We both.
This is where we're getting. This is where I'm getting. Sorry, is that we didn't get to finish, and at the end of the segment we did a recap, but that's about 15 minutes after where it cut off. So what we're doing is we're recapping our opinion of Death Note and the upcoming live action movie.
Yep.
So that those of you who've heard the first part of that know.
Yeah. Okay. So yes.
Basically, as Brett says.
Okay. So yes.
We like the movie. We like the show.
Yes. Yes. I like it a little bit more than Sam does, but yeah.
Yeah.
And we both made mention of like how it was a big part of the 2007-2009 Western anime bubble, which for me was the best time to be an anime fan.
Well, the bubble, the bubble started a bit earlier than that. I mean, the whole decade really was sort of the rise and fall of the bubble, but yeah, you
those 3 years in particular were really, really good. Like there was
those 3 years were huge. And that show made a big impression because for its flaws, very few of us who are... I am 22. How old are you, Brett?
26.
Yeah. So those of us who are sort of in our mid to late 20s have never really seen something like Death Note when it came out. And that's why it made such a big impression, despite its flaws, and it has massive flaws. But it does a lot right, and I am expecting this movie to actually be decent. What little we saw from the teaser didn't look bad. It looks like there's going to be some panache to the visual style. It had some cool color stuff going on.
It looks like it's going to be. They look like they're going for a modern noir kind of cinematography, which would be the right approach for something like this. Yes, because you couldn't go as all out melodramatic as the anime did in live action without it being ridiculous. So if you go for a modern noir sort of tone and still keep some of that melodrama, that's gonna work really well. I can't recall the director's name, but I think he has experience with horror movies and that sort of thing. And we both agree that
it's Netflix.
We both agree that Willem Dafoe as Ryuk is perfect casting right there. Yeah,
it's Netflix, so they have a pretty good success rate for their originals. Not 100%, but I'd say 80 or 90% of the originals of theirs that I've seen have been good or really good, which is more than can be said of most networks. Which Netflix, people need to remember, Netflix treats itself like a network as much as a streaming service, in the way that it commissions all these shows and all that, right? So I am expecting it to be decent. I'm not expecting it to be amazing, but I'm expecting it to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's just a movie. So it's going to be easy to watch.
And hey, worst comes to worst, always remember, it can never be worse than Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, and remember, it won't ruin, unless you think it's so bad that you associate the original anime with it forever and ever. It can't ruin the original anime because the original anime still exists. Yeah. As does the manga, if for some reason your preferred version of that story is the one that has no stylistic flair in storytelling and is dry and boring as fuck.
But it's got really good artwork.
Yeah, the anime looks good too.
You'd have to be lying through your teeth if you couldn't say that Takeshi Obata is not one of the best pencilers in manga.
I wouldn't call him one of the best, but he's good. He's good. But again, the anime looks great too. But yeah, people who are shitting themselves over it are fanboys who seem to have this view that anime adaptations should never change anything. Adaptations should always change things to take the most advantage possible out of the medium that they are adapted to. Or rather, they should make whatever changes are necessary. And sometimes that's not many changes, but sometimes that's a lot of changes. Okay? And the people butthurt about the fact that there are cheerleaders in the teaser thing for like a second. You guys do remember that like the first half or so of it is until the flash forward to Light in his 20s is set in a high school.
Well, it's
right?
high school and college. It's high school
around a high school.
It's high school and college, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's a high school and college guy. Yeah. They've transposed it to America. There's going to be cheerleaders.
Yeah. So yeah, get over it, man. Although even though Sam and I would kind of disagree on this one point, because like if you saw the teaser, you obviously know that this version of Death Note is going to be set in Washington, and it's set in Seattle to be more specific. Yeah. I happen to live here. We have a very high Asian population out here, so this would have been one case where they could have gotten away with making Light Asian American. They did not. I'm not torn up about it. Sam loves it. They could have, but I'm glad they didn't, because diversity casting and fuck the SJWs and all that shit. Well, is it really diversity casting when, like I said, we do have a high Asian population out here?
Well, I mean, they've transposed it to America, and the majority of America's population is white. And they have an Asian guy in it already. There is a Japanese-American guy in it. Yeah. But, yeah. I'm just saying that I'm kind of glad. I wouldn't have been butthurt if they had made him an Asian. Just like I'm not butthurt that they've made L black. Yeah. Or they're making L black. Like, if he's not good, then I'll go, okay, well, but everyone else, and then I'll go, wow, okay, diversity casting. But it looks like they're actually doing it right, probably, based on what I know. And also, this isn't going to happen, but casting L as black just has me reimagining Death Note scenes with L talking in full-on gangster wannabe Ebonics, and that is the funniest thing.
You know what? We should just transpose some of L's lines into the Ebonics translator. See what we get.
Oh god.
Let's do that right now. Okay.
Right now, okay.
L. Death Note lines.
You need to pull up Death Note quotes. I'll do the voice.
And I'll pull Ebonics translator.
Come on, I want to read them, dog.
I'll send them to you through Facebook. Look, man. Okay, L.
Okay. Yo, nigga. I'll fuck you up, nigga.
You are.
I'm getting into character. There is no heaven or hell no matter what you do while you're alive to Ebonics.
Found it. Man. While we're on this subject, you ever seen that one episode of, it was kind of a special episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series where Little Karibo took the entire script of his first episode and ran it through the Ebonics translator?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's some good shit. Honestly, the whole Abridged thing got old pretty quick. Most Abridged series stuff is terrible, but Little Karibo actually, like, he got something with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series. That shit was actually quite funny. It doesn't hold up that well, but that style of humor is very of its time, so it'll never hold up well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm guessing you're not a big fan of DBZ Abridged either.
I could never stand it even back in the day.
Really?
Really. I had a friend who used to reference that show all the time. I'd be like, God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where I was consuming Abridged series left and right.
I could only get into the Little Karibo ones. He did a short one that was something else, but I forget what it was.
I remember him doing one on. I remember him doing one on Naruto where he gave Naruto a smoker voice.
Yes, that was funny.
And
speaking of shows that
and he gave Kakashi
don't hold up,
and he made Kakashi sound like David Bowie.
Yeah. Speaking of shows that don't hold up, Naruto. Although actually that was never that great in the first place. Well, no, I'll tell you what. Naruto's first story arc is pretty good because it focuses less on the main trio. And then after that story arc, you go, oh shit, it is going to focus on the main trio. And this main trio is the most annoying main trio. Fuck this show. That was my experience with Naruto. Have you watched much Naruto? Do you have an opinion on Naruto?
I did. I watched Naruto back when I was like, how old was I? I must have been like 14 or something.
Dude, we really are going back to like 07, 06, 07, 08. Death Note, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series.
Oh, the good old days.
And Naruto. We really are mid-late 2000s, aren't we? How much more mid-late 2000s can we make it?
Let's see.
Well, we talked about Green Day before we started, so that's already mid-2000s, see?
Yep. Okay, here we go.
Linkin Park. Linkin Park AMVs.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
Oh,
how annoying were those?
Especially with fucking crawling.
You know what else was really common with them?
What?
Yes. Nickelback AMVs. I gotta say, there are some really well-made AMVs out there. I have a lot of respect. AMVs are most of the good AMVs are from like the late 90s or early 2000s. When there was more of a barrier to entry, so only the talented people actually... Okay. So, outline through an Ebonics translator. Yo, there is no heaven or hell, no matter where... Oh, fuck me. Yo, there is no heaven or hell. No matter what you do while you're alive, everybody goes to the same place once you die. Death is equal. Slap my fro. What the fuck? Okay, I've got to try that again because I was thrown by some of the sounds. Yo, there is no heaven or hell. No matter what you do while you're alive, everybody goes to the same place once you die. Death is equal. Slap my throat.
Sounds like you were being Jamaican.
Black. No, it was kind of that British, West Indies sort of British. Yo, I'm British, bro. I'm British.
All right.
Yo, there is not. Yo, motherfucker. Yo, there is no heaven or hell. No matter what you do while you're alive, everybody goes to the same place once you die. Death is equal. Slap my bro.
I don't know.
Death is equal. Slap my bro is really hard to say. Try saying that.
Yo, there is no heaven or hell. No matter what you do while you're alive, everybody goes to the same place once you die. Death is equal. Slap my throat.
Oh my god. This is going to be the shit, dude. We've already had what's that moment? I've forgotten the truth, but it's where an episode does something just really weird and out of nowhere that is never again referenced and that makes no sense. Moment. Yeah, we've already had our big lipped alligator moment.
Oh
and
man,
it was
now we're really digging back to 2009 for referencing an old nostalgia critic meme.
Wasn't that some nostalgia chick?
Well, yeah, she started it, but he popularized it.
Oh man, God, this is the nostalgia episode because we're also talking about the Ghost in the Shell live action.
Yes. That's the real meat of the.
Before that, any mid to late 2000s nostalgia still that we need to get out of our system?
I remember Skyrim being a big thing at the time.
Skyrim was later. Skyrim was 2010s. Oblivion was the big one at the time.
Oh, Mass Effect, and Assassin's Creed and BioShock.
Yeah, Oblivion was as well though. But yeah. Just let me put my John Mayer on. I actually love John Mayer, but mid to late 2000s. What? That is a crap song. I'll give you that. But mid to late 2000s, of course, waiting on the world to change. Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing and there's no way we ever could. Actually, let's see if I can do the Breathy Mayer thing. He doesn't do that anymore. He has a bit of singing. Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing and there's no way we ever could. That is really hard to sing like that. Of course, earlier hymn is more like, your body is a wonderland. Not quite that bad, but there's a bit of a lisp and there's all that. You can hear him pushing way too hard with his,
Yeah.
Creed. Oh no, Creed was early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, Creed was more early 2000s. They petered out like after 2000.
Love my own head. Oh, that's how I got to Creed. Voices that's how I got to them. Shit, if we're doing voices, we can mock. Dude, if we're doing voices, we can mock. That has to bring us back to Nickelback, so let's move on.
Yes, okay.
Unless you want to... Oh, dude, no. Early 2000s, since we got to early 2000s, kind of. No, mid-2000s. Remember that Chad Kroeger song from the Spider-Man movie, Hero?
Oh my god.
Who was the other dude on that? There was some other dude who
Saliva.
Oh, fuck that band.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Josie Scott quit Saliva to go make Christian music.
That explains a lot.
Also, they did Batista's theme song back when he wrestled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was... I walk the mile inside the spirit of danger.
Can I just say,
a place where no one follows me, I walk alone.
Let's just all agree that for all the faults of modern contemporary popular music, at least the popular male singing style for anything heavier than a boy band isn't, I sound like I'm constipated anymore.
Yeah.
I sound like I'm constipated and I'm gonna sing shout.
Yeah, even
I'm such a badass motherfucker. I want this shit come out.
Yeah, like
and they always take that. They had that weird vibrato. You ever notice that?
I think they were all trying. I remember Henry Rollins doing like a whole bit on that, and I think he was basically making fun of guys like Eddie Vedder and Chad Kroeger.
Well, no, Eddie Vedder. The thing is, Eddie Vedder and Lane Staley were the guys who didn't suck, and then everyone else tried to copy them.
Thanks.
And Eddie Vedder.
Thanks again, grunge.
People joke about Eddie Vedder, but Eddie Vedder is closer to Jim Morrison than he is to the Creed guy and Chad Kroeger and that kind of thing.
Scott Stapp, that's who you're thinking of. He is from Creed.
Oh, Scott Stapp, who had a nervous breakdown the other year and went really nuts. Do you remember that?
Yeah, thought he was being told to go assassinate Obama, which wouldn't have been bad if he had succeeded.
Dude, don't say that! Don't say that!
What? People are calling for the assassination of Trump and they're not getting banned.
Yeah, but remember when he went... but we can't alienate our audience by ever by ever having an opinion. Do you remember the mid-2000s when anime podcasts were everywhere and 90% of them were... So, here's the show. And you'll like this show if you like this, that, or the other. And we're not going to tell you if it's a good show or not. We're just going to say, we're going to make everything sound like you might like it if you like certain shows.
Man, where's the personality of these people?
I mean, say what you like about modern day anime reviewers, but it will never be worse than the glut of terrible anime podcasts in the mid to late 2000s.
I don't think so. Not likely.
Just like, now, again, I like, and I think quite highly of some of the YouTube critics of anime, reviewers of anime. But the best anime reviewers ever will always be Daryl, Gerald, and Clarissa from Anime World Order, which is the best anime podcast ever.
Amen.
Have you ever listened to that podcast? Because if you haven't, you need to.
Oh man, I got like tons of episodes on my laptop. I probably should.
I have been listening to that show for 8 or 9 years, I think. They started back in 2006.
Wow. They're still doing it. They're like one of the longest running podcasts.
Yeah, albeit slowly because they're only at 150 something.
Really?
But yeah, because they've had
hiatuses,
busy lives. Busy lives that only get a few out a year at this rate these days. But yeah, that show is awesome. Particularly great is you are aware, I know, of Odin.
Yes.
You need to find the old episode where they had Mike Toole on and they talked about Odin.
I really should. Yes.
Mike Toole from A&N. Because Mike Toole is awesome and that episode is awesome. And yeah. But yeah. So shall we get to the actual other topic?
Yes, Ghost in the Shell. We should.
The Ghost in the Shell live action movie. Mm-hmm. Let's start with what's encouraging.
Yeah. It has good production.
She likes it.
Yes.
She likes it. It has good production values. And they haven't cucked about casting Scarlett Johansson. I wouldn't have picked her.
No. I probably would have gone with, what was that chick? Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I think that's her name.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm not sure who might have picked, but here's the deal with her. Everyone goes, this is whitewashing. Well, okay, it's not whitewashing because she's not white, she's Jewish.
plus,
but also the Major is a full cyborg. So her body is not her original body. And as happens, spoilers for the end of the original movie, she transfers her consciousness into another body, so that can happen in canon in the universe. So this is a rage about nothing, okay?
Yeah.
That said, on the other hand, when looking at the trailers and teasers, it also looks like it's not going to wholly be a best of the original movie. And bits and echoes to it. but it's probably not going to be a total clone and a hodgepodge of best ofs. But so that's a good thing. But also going off those trailers and those teasers, it doesn't seem to have that much personality to its world or really have that aesthetic.
Let me put it this way: if it wasn't carrying the Ghost in the Shell name, it would basically be any generic cyberpunk thriller you could think of.
Yeah. Although, again, we are going off of bits and pieces. We haven't seen all that much of it, so it might actually capture it, for all we know. I'm not betting on it, though.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The atmosphere of the original, the Oshi film, it's very cold.
Yeah, but in a... How do I put it? Oshi is not cold in a bad way. Oshi movies are cold in a...
thematic way.
And slightly detached in a cerebral way, rather than, say, Christopher Nolan, who's kind of cold and detached in a I don't understand people and I think I'm way smarter than I am and my head is stuck up my own ass sort of way. Yes, I'm talking about Inception.
And it's
Oshi sometimes...
I guess you could say it's more like cold in a Kubrick way.
Yeah, Oshi in some of his movies does get a little up his own ass and a little navel-gazing, but even then he's interesting in it. In a sense, which I do like a lot, but that kind of gets a little pretentious in parts, and they're pretending to be smarter than it is actual sense. But pretentious does not mean something's bad, okay? It's annoying, but it's not, an indication of quality necessarily, just of style. I don't expect this movie to capture the style or the aesthetic of the original movie or the tone, the mood, all of which is what makes me love it.
And also, while it may not be a bad movie, and I'm willing to concede that it very well could be watchable, very decent. But the biggest black mark against the movie right now.
PG-13.
Yes,
I was about to get to
PG-13. PG-13 right now. This is not to say you can't do dark and serious with PG-13, because Rogue One was able to do that. But
and that was the example that I mentioned last night. But can I just say something about that? Because what I was thinking about after we did the podcast, that much of which is lost, right? And I talked about this, and I cited Rogue One as an example. Rogue One had a lot of bloodless violence.
Yeah. Well,
and that felt fine in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But come to think of it, if the violence in Ghost in the Shell is kind of bloodless, that's not going to work. So I think you're right. It needs to be... What's in between PG-13 and R in America?
Yeah. Here you go from PG-13 to R. There's no in between.
Okay. So it needed to be an R. It needs to be an R because it doesn't need to have a ton of violence, but what violence it needs to have has to be bloody.
Yeah, it's just given the subject matter and the tone of of Ghost in the Shell, it's just a PG-13 rating is sanitizing it.
And that's kind of my expectation of the movie, is for it to be a fun, decent, pretty good, perhaps slightly smarter than the average, and that it will actually raise some transhumanist sort of 101 questions. Movie that is slightly sterile and bloodless, and that isn't a particularly great Ghost in the Shell movie, but will be fun and slightly more than... I don't know, I'm expecting it to be decent. I'm expecting to walk away from it and go, that was a movie I don't regret spending my money on. I'll probably never see it again. But this is my expectation. Now, if I see it and it is amazing, I will say so, because here's the deal. We are going to be rewatching the original Ghost in the Shell movie and prep for it.
Yep.
And actually, we'll talk about it. When we do it, we'll have a quick talk about it before we watch the new movie, because I think something we should do at the beginning of these is do a, hey, what have you been watching? Right, talk about what you've been watching or what you've been listening to with music or reading, that sort of thing, right?
That'd be interesting. Yeah, spend like half an hour talking about random shit we've been doing off the clock.
Yeah. And so we will, when we do rewatch Ghost in the Shell, we'll, I think, have a brief talk about it. But we are going to be, and I can't tell you when, because the one theater where I live doesn't even have the new movie listed and coming soon. So it might not even be for a good month or so. But when it comes out, we will both be seeing it at some point, and we will be doing a comparison episode where we talk about it and the other one as a follow-up to this.
Yeah.
About it as compared and contrasted to the original. Yeah. So if it is amazing, we will say. My expectation of it at first was it's going to suck because it kind of... Those cryptic early 5-second long bits were really shitty. Yeah. But seeing a longer trailer, it didn't look as bad. Hearing Oshi thinks it's quite good, I thought, okay, could be decent.
Because here's the thing, Oshi is not known for being diplomatic.
Yeah, I mean, as I was telling Brett yesterday, you guys are gonna get sick of me referencing. Oh, but it was lost. There's an interview with Oshi and Suzuki, the guy who was the Ghibli producer until recently, shortly after Ponyo came out, and half of it is Oshi shitting all over Ponyo and talking about how the movie makes no logical sense, like has no internal logic, things are just happening for the sake of it, it's really simplistic and contrived. And the funny thing is, when he's asked what his favorite Miyazaki movie is, he says Howls, talks about one sequence for like ages, and then goes, the rest of the movie is kind of shit though. Talks about how the rest of Howl's kind of sucks. I think we can safely
say that Oshi is not a fan of Miyazaki's work.
Not particularly, but what's interesting is both he and Miyazaki respect each other a lot and are actually on friendly terms with each other, and their opinions of each other's work, they listen to them, and neither of them are super fans of the other, but they can see that the other is a master of his craft.
And I'm pretty sure they both kind of agree on. You remember that one interview Miyazaki did where he talked about how anime is trash, it was a mistake.
Yes. Well, Oshi is weird in that he you get a sense from Oshi that he is kind of the, oh, women are kind of gross, just give me my dog and a hug pillow. But then he hates otaku and he hates the modern anime industry. And in fact, that's what the Skycrawlers is about. The Skycrawlers is very obviously a sort of satire of the anime industry as it was in 08 or so, where it was very sort of the same old shit and otaku, and it's really great. And so they share that sort of opinion. But so Oshi's saying that it is a good movie, and him saying that it changed a lot of stuff I like. Because before that, what we had seen was, I was going, oh shit, this is going to be a greatest hits of Ghost in the Shell with a through line of Makoto of the Major not really knowing who she is. Because she has some memory issues, I think, is what I picked up. And that's going to be interesting. Again, I don't expect it to do it as intelligently as the original movie. Because the original movie it's a very literary movie, right? Yeah. It has a lot of ideas in it. There's the biblical quotes, there's the symbolism. I mean, was it Bennett the Sage who, when he did a review of Ghost in the... No, it wasn't Bennett the Sage, sorry, because Bennett the Sage actually is kind of... It was someone, I forget who, but someone did a review of that movie, and they broke down, just in that action sequence at the end, where the Major is jumping away, flipping away from the shots, and it pans up and shows this diagram where the bullets hit him.
Yeah,
it's all these different species.
It's that Sephiroth thing. I forget what it's.
Yeah, but it's got listed different species, and someone broke down all the symbolism in that. Just that one bit being there, that was quite interesting. The movie is, and I don't expect it to be paced like it. I don't expect it to be like that movie, but I expect it to be a decent movie, Hollywoodized, a bit sanitized. that has the trappings of Ghost in the Shell, and that's really all it needs to be.
Yeah, I more or less got this. I more or less got the
same.
It
will draw people to the original, and they will either love it, or they will be crawling up the walls because they can't adjust to that pacing.
Yeah, like I said, Sam and I are more or less the same mind on this. But by the way, if you do go out trying to track down the original Ghost in the Shell film,
avoid 2.0.
Yeah, do not get the 2.0 version. It adds in a bunch of needless CGI that just sort of ruins the atmosphere. And
it has a piss yellow filter.
Yeah, it's like that thing they did in Deus Ex Human Revolution, except here's the thing. Yep. This ain't Deus Ex. This is Ghost in the Shell. They're two different things.
Yeah.
Although
the other
thing, to be honest, it didn't even look that good in Deus Ex, although their justification was they were trying to give it sort of a Renaissance kind of feel.
Yeah. The other thing worth mentioning is don't watch it dubbed first. The dub has a great cast and is very well directed, but it has a kind of an incoherent script, which not all stuff from the 90s had, but was more common than is ideal. And the reason I say that is because a lot of dubs from that sort of mid to late 90s had great actors you don't hear as much these days, and great acting, and sort of modern anime dubs from the last 5, 6, 7 years, by and large, have become very samey sounding. They have a style of acting and all that is kind of boring.
Yeah, I would say I think like nowadays Funimation is pretty much phoning their dubs in. Like, I'm actually not even.
They are.
Yeah, like I'm not even like
Funimation.
They were good back. They were good back in the day, but not anymore.
Yeah. Dude, give it a few years, and Funimation's over-reliance on the same, admittedly talented actors, but they're burning them out because they're using them so much in very samey roles, right?
Yeah.
Give it a few years, and Funimation's dubs won't be at the quality Bang Zoom's were. Oh. Like, that will be the quality they will have dropped to in acting and the like, in my opinion. Yeah, and do you remember how generic and boring Bang Zoom's dubs were?
Oh, man. Yeah, but it's just like, man... And also, I mean, like, I think a lot of some of the old people even left Funimation, like Vic Mignogna and Todd Haberkorn. They're kind of doing their own thing with Star Trek Continues.
You're right.
Yeah, Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham, they found work with Marvel.
Yep. And they're great. And some of the talented people, like... some of them are being stretched thin and not very good at. And a good example of this is how often they have J. Michael Tatum, who is a great voice actor, and his scripts are not good.
Yeah.
His dubbing scripts are not good.
Guys, you might think that being a voice actor would be cool, but let me put it this way. Voice actor is like one rung below professional wrestling in terms of grueling and arduous and excruciating.
Here's the deal with anime voice acting. You work long hours, you get paid fuck all. The money is in video game voice acting.
Also, you have to work in an enclosed recording booth that has no ventilation. Yeah. It gets hot.
And I say the money is in video game voice acting, but guess what? That's even harder to break into than anime voice acting. And that still takes a while to get.
Voice acting and wrestling. Those are two things you think you want to do, but you don't.
You never want to do that. just don't. If you really want to voice act, you know what you should do? Get together with some friends, write some audio dramas, make amateur audio dramas,
or make a flash.
Do that if you want.
Or make a flash cartoon.
Yeah, do something like that if you want to voice act. Do it as an amateur thing, as a hobby, because it is the sort of thing you will work. Based on everything I know, you will work way too hard. You will not have much time to spend with people. You will not get much money, and it will potentially kill your love of the thing, and it will potentially kill your love of anime because you will be around it so much. You'll just burn out.
Yeah.
and you won't have the time to watch anything new, and all you will see is, guess what? All you'll see is... So, yeah.
Yeah. So. Where were... Okay, so...
Yeah, I think we were done with the Ghost in the Shell thing. Oh, yeah, we were just saying, if you watch the original, watch it subbed first, because the dub script is incoherent.
That's where we trailed off, yes.
And we were saying, avoid 2.0, but definitely watch the original, if anyone is listening to us who hasn't seen it.
And, if you're curious, Innocence is not bad.
Innocence is not bad. Innocence, it's 90 minutes long and it feels like it's 2 hours long. It's a little pretentious, but that's not a quality thing. That's just a style thing. I like Innocence. It's less so. It's not going to be to everyone's taste. But again, I like Oshi. I find Oshi interesting even when he is kind of, his head is a bit up his ass and he's too navel-gazy. At least in anime, I've not seen any of the, which I've heard is pretty much terrible.
Yeah. And I guess Standalone Complex, I can take or leave it.
I got 3 or 4 episodes in and went, it's a really well-written show that does nothing for me. I think the Ghost in the Shell universe is interesting, but I'm less interested in the Ghost in the Shell universe than I am with what Oshi does with it.
Yeah.
So generally, unless Oshi's involved, then I'm not really interested in a Ghost in the Shell thing.
Also,
main reason I'm seeing...
you finish up your thing.
The main reason I'm going to see this one is because Brett and I... is for this podcast. I would not be seeing this movie probably if it weren't for this podcast.
Yeah. Because we got to give you guys our opinions because, well, who else are you going to trust?
Yeah. Who else are you going to trust, says we, with like one follower who isn't us on Twitter. Actually 2, I think, because Deante followed us and then another friend of mine, I think, did. Yeah. Hey, now, things take time.
There's also a video game for Ghost in the Shell on the PS1 I've heard is good, never played it.
There is, and I have heard it is very good.
Yeah. There's also an online shooter called First Assault, which if you've played if you've played Team Fortress 2, you've basically played this game. It just has a Ghost in the Shell skin. Not bad.
I have Orange Box, but I've never played Team Fortress 2. Believe it or not.
Yeah, well, let me put it this way. Ghost in the Shell,
I don't do multiplayer games.
First Assault is basically just, like I said, it's just a team deathmatch shooter.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's got their own specialization. It's kind of cool to play as characters from Section 9. But,
I gotta be honest, I'm not really a multiplayer game guy, which I know these days everyone's into multiplayer games, but I'm not.
Kind of like Yahtzee.
Oh, don't compare me to that obnoxious... I was going to say obnoxious twit, and then I realised I'm an obnoxious twit.
Is it still kind of biased because he's Australian and you're a Kiwis, and you guys are kind of pretty much obligated to dislike each other?
I didn't even know he was Australian. I thought he was British.
He's Australian.
Okay, well, I don't find him funny. I find him annoying, and yeah. Anyone who's listening who isn't familiar with our streams, in case you haven't been able to tell, I am the one who talks all the time. I do most of the talking, and it's not necessarily because I just talk over Brett, although because I'm not very good at being concise with my ideas, sometimes that happens when Brett... It's like, when Brett doesn't realize I'm finished.
Yeah.
It's because Brett genuinely isn't as talkative as I am.
I can be pretty talkative. It's just I'm more a guy who's just like I'm more a guy who is just straight and to the point.
Yeah, that's kind of what it means. So yeah. So before we get further, because I'm not sure. what's going to happen. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to keep talking about what we're going to keep talking about. But before we go any further, let's tell everyone what we're doing next week.
Yeah, next
week is the first of... We're always going to have topics. Sorry. But we're not always going to be... And sometimes we're going to be talking about movies or anime shows or anime movies or OAVs or whatever and analyzing them and kind of reviewing them. That's not always going to be the case, but next week is going to be our first episode where we do that.
Yes, and we are going...
And we're not just doing one movie. We're not just doing two movies. How many movies are we doing, Brett?
3. We're doing 3 westerns. We are doing 3:10 to Yuma, the remake with Russell Crowe.
The remake.
The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
And Unforgiven. And Unforgiven, that was my idea. We'll do Unforgiven next week. And I went, you know what, we should do 3:10 to Yuma as well. And then Brett mentioned The Assassination of Jesse James, which is the only one I've not seen and the only one you'd not seen all of, right?
Yeah.
I rewatched 3:10 to Yuma last night. It's going to be interesting to talk about because I remember that movie being better than it was, but it's still really good. And so that's going to be a fun one to talk about because I'm gonna be able to be quite critical while still saying that I like it. Right? So it's going to be fun to
no shame in that.
Get my critical shot.
There's no shame in that.
And a little shots on. But while we're at it, we're just going to go through some of the... We've got a few other ideas. Now, one of these was yesterday, in the bit that didn't get saved, we ended up getting to me comparing and contrasting Evangelion and BoJack Horseman and how they view and treat depression.
Yeah, trust me.
And we're actually going to do...
It sounds bonkers, but Sam actually made a pretty good case for it.
I did it quite well, and I did it off the cuff. So we are going to do at some stage over the next 2 or 3 months, we are going to rewatch Evangelion, and we're going to do a whole episode dedicated to a more in-depth analysis of that. That's going to involve notes.
Yeah, where we actually act like we're smart.
To give you an idea, now, Brett, you can see this. They won't be able to see it. Mm-hmm. This is my notebook. So, look at these pages. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a lot of notes.
And 5. That's my notes on 3:10 to Yuma.
That's a lot of notes.
We are also in August, because it is Oshi's birthday, we're going to do an Oshi month, where we're going to talk about the Skycrawlers is going to be the first episode. The second episode is going to be... the first episode is going to be Gosenzo Sama Banbanzai. The second is going to be Jinro and Angel's Egg. The third is going to be the Skycrawlers. And the last is going to be the early years Pat Labor OAV, Pat Labor 1 and Pat Labor 2. That last episode is probably going to be incredibly long and will probably be split into 2 parts. I am the only one who has seen all of those.
We took Ghost in the Shell off the table for obvious reasons, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, because we're already doing that quite soon. And we did actually talk about Jinro off the cuff yesterday too, and that was a pretty good discussion, but that's gone. So this is going to have notes too, and it's going to be even better. Yeah. We are also... Now, I was thinking if we do these... We're also, over the course, we're also going to do specials where we do our top 10 anime, our top 10 movies, and our top 10 TV shows. Yeah.
We're trying to...
Just live action and Western cartoons for movies, not anime movies.
We'll try to, if we can, see if we can bring a friend of ours in or two.
Yeah, well, Deante is in. He just needs to be kept in the loop.
Yeah.
So Deante will be on those. And we were thinking about having a separate guest as well that will change for each one. Or at least I suggested that. I can't remember what you said about that idea. Did you think that was a good idea?
Well, it sounds like a good idea. I can dig it.
Yeah.
Dig it.
Yeah. But those would be cool ones to do. And I had a thought that it could be fun to do one of those as an end of year thing.
I think I know a couple people we could probably score interviews with. There's my buddy Nigel who's got his band. Right. I did a video where I already interviewed him, but I think I think you and I could probably get some interesting material out of the guy, especially you, given that you're a musician too.
Yeah. Well, the other thing we were going to do was a Golgo 13, the professional analysis.
Yes, that would some point. To do that proper would require us to bring in Deante and Kurt.
Yeah, and Deante is in. Yeah. Deante's in.
Kurt, we just need to be able to work around his schedule.
Yeah, and again, you're the one who's not seen that, and you're in for a treat, man. That is a fucking wild ride of a movie in a really good way.
Yeah, there's also a guy I know. There's also a guy I know who works in comics. I recently did a video on him.
Yep.
And he's
again, I think So we're going to be having guests on at various points. Not always, but we will have guests on. Some of them will be people who do really cool things, and some of them will be people who are just interesting people and entertaining people. And I've got some people in mind as well. It'll be fun.
So I think that seems like a good place to cut off.
So basically, this podcast, I know we've kind of mentioned politics. We'll do a few specials on politics, but I think by and large we're going to keep politics to live stream only sort of content, or that'll go to YouTube and will be sort of the Yank and Kiwi politics talk or something like that. But this is mostly going to be a hobbies, which will have just us shooting the shit sometimes. It'll have us analyzing / I guess kind of reviewing movies, anime, stuff like that. And what's going to be the thing about this is, yes, Brett, you already have a review channel.
Yep, I do.
But if we're doing this most weeks, this is almost certainly going to end up more prolific. But B, also having me here style of review than your review videos. So we may at some stage do something you've reviewed, or we may do something that ends up getting reviewed again for all we know. But I have a long list of shows that I would really love to talk about that I reckon you should see at some stage, and I'm sure you probably have a list of shows and movies you'd like to talk about that I've not seen
mate.
We'll be tackling slowly over the years.
God knows you got that bloody list.
Yeah, well, it'll give me the chance to get some of them, and also this will be a cool chance for you to see some of the really old and more slightly obscure anime that, like 70s, 80s sort of, that are slightly more obscure, that maybe never got a release or barely got a release in America. That would be cool to cover at some point.
It would be.
We mentioned Golgo 13.
Yes.
I would really love to talk about some of Dazaki's other anime, particularly Dear Brother, which was... Dazaki's claim to fame is he directed much of Rosa Versailles TV, he directed Ashita Nojo, he directed Aim for the Ace, he directed the Blackjack OAVs, the Space Adventure Cobra movie, Golgo 13, and Dear Brother, or Onisama A, is another show that he did. He did this in the 90s. It's also based on a Ryoko Ikeda manga from the 70s, like Rosa Versailles, and it's basically a 70s show in all of its glory with 90s production values.
Ooh, no, that sounds cool. Yeah. One thing I think would be interesting is
it's like 59 episodes long, but I think that's something we should tackle at some point, because I could talk about that for hours.
One thing I think that would be interesting is maybe doing something up. This one would be kind of a bit of a monumental task. Spaceship Yamato. I forget what.
Space Battleship Yamato. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Space Battleship Yamato.
Because I saw the Americanized version Star Blazers when I was a kid, and my friend Gabe is a huge fan of it.
The problem with that is there's 4 seasons, 4 or 5 movies, and no one has subbed, I think 3 or 4 seasons, no one subbed the last season yet, as far as I know. That hasn't been fan subbed. But I would be down to watch everything that has been fan subbed, and to talk about that. I'm not going to watch Star Blazers probably, but I will watch that. Another thing, we should talk about what's his name shows at some point.
You're gonna have to help me.
Like
what's his name?
Galaxy Express 39.
Oh, Rintaro.
No, not Rintaro. The manga guy who's did all the art style and it's all based on his stuff.
Well, then I'm drawing a blank. Let me look.
Yamato is as well. But Galaxy Express 39, that movie, and even more so, Galaxy Express 39 are well worth talking about. So is the TV show that's 111 episodes long that I have never had the time to finish, but would love to. Yeah. That would be something that would be worth talking about at some point in the future, I think.
Well, one thing that would be really interesting to do with Diente is, because Diente saw the original Voltron and probably see... And
really? Leiji Matsumoto.
No.
Leiji Matsumoto stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
would be cool to talk about.
Yeah, Diente saw the original Voltron series, and there's a new Voltron show on Netflix right now, which...
Oh, you're right, there is, yeah. Yeah, that could be interesting. But there's all sorts of stuff. I think due to my taste and Brett's taste, we talk about, I'm probably going to lean towards being not from this decade.
Yeah, that's, it's gonna, let's put it this way, guys. You are not getting two guys who are gonna furiously agree with each other on everything, at least.
No, and yeah. And what's going to be interesting is I have gaps in my sort of essential shows thing in terms of what was really influential in America. And Brett has gaps in his essential shows that were super influential in Japan or the early days of anime fandom in the West, but that never really got popular and never really either got proper releases or got releases at all. So through this podcast, we'll be able to help fill in each other with these gaps,
and
which will be really cool.
Hope you guys will too.
You know what else we should do an episode on? That could be fun. That could also be fun to see if Diente was interested in at some point in the future.
Yeah.
The original Bubblegum Crisis, ladies.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Fucking Bubblegum Crisis, man.
Yeah, Bubblegum Crisis is it's interesting to talk about not just for the anime itself, but also the story behind it, like, and I'm talking like the production and
that
stuff.
Show is a vital show for Western anime fandom, because the late 90s, early 2000s, or actually even mid 90s to late 90s, people saw that and it made a huge impression.
Well, it was more Bubblegum Crisis was more part of the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm talking about when people in the West got it.
Oh, yeah.
Got a hold of it, which was in the mid-90s, sort of. It's well out of print, but there is actually, there was a Madman release.
I think there was also a Kickstarter.
In Australasia.
I think there was also a Kickstarter to put it back into print.
No. Yeah, well, no, it's in print in America, I think.
Oh.
But in New Zealand, this is well out of print, but there was a Madman release, Australasian release, that had a commentary that I would love to hear, that was people from Madman who were around when that came out, talking about when that hit the Australian anime scene back in the 90s, talking about the influence that had on anime fans in Australia at the time. I would love to. So if anyone is listening and has that set, no. Am I thinking of Bubblegum? No, I am thinking of Bubblegum Crisis. Sorry, I saw my Megazone 2-3 Part 1 DVD over to the side. That's an ADV one that has people from ADV talking about how influential that was. So I'm like, wait, am I talking about... No, it's Bubblegum Crisis. So if anyone has that thing, that set, I'm pretty sure it's Bubblegum Crisis, and can upload the audio track or something somewhere and link it to me, please, I would love to... I would love to hear this, because it would be really interesting.
Yeah.
But Megazone 2-3 Part 1 is another thing that could be cool to talk about. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
That sounds cool just by the name alone.
It's one of my favorite. It's one of my all-time favorite OAVs. The rest of it, part 2 isn't all that great. Part 3 is terrible, but it was hugely influential. But yeah. So that's kind of ideas for what we have. I think we're kind of about done, I guess.
Yeah. That's, like I said, it seems like a good place for us to sign off, and hope you guys enjoyed listening to us. Hope at this time we did it right.
Yeah, and we'll try and get this episode up tonight, if possible. Will you be able to send me the MP3 link tonight so I can stick it out?
Yeah, no problem.
Up there?
Yeah, no problem.
Sweet.
All right.
So, and I'm still working on. I can't figure out how to put a download link in SoundCloud. But there is a way to download from them otherwise. But if anyone knows how to include it so you can do a free download, I could find how to put a link to buying it. But I know you can put it. I've downloaded podcasts from SoundCloud via SoundCloud before. So if someone can tell me how to do that, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys. Thanks anyone who's listened. This is fun.
Yep, this is. Well, see you next.
We're actually taking this seriously.
Yes, we are. So be with us next week when we talk about westerns.
Indeed, or modern westerns. We talk about modern westerns. Well, 2 modern westerns and Unforgiven, because Unforgiven is from the 90s, and I don't think that counts as modern these days.
Actually, can you really count Assassination of Jesse James as a western, since it's more of a historical biodrama?
I've not seen it. My understanding is it's kind of a western, very modern version of it, kind of deconstruction of a western in some ways.
Well, deconstruction.
What's going to be interesting?
And also deconstruction of the Jesse James.
Yeah, and what's going to be interesting is comparing that to Unforgiven, because Unforgiven is often considered, assuming it is what I hear it is, because Unforgiven is often considered a deconstruction of westerns, and it's not. It's a western that takes the environment, the violence of the time, and the like seriously, and it's a dark western. It's not a deconstruction of anything. Just like Madoka Magica is not a fucking deconstruction of Magical Girl Show. And anyone who tries to say it is, Gero Robucci himself says, no, it's not. I didn't ever mean it to be. But yeah. We're done.
All right.
Goodbye, guys.
See ya.
Sorry for babbling.